Video game, flash fiction. This is a 90-minute writing game. Starting now. As that clock counts down, I'm going to roll these 2 dice to select one of these Atari 2600 console games. Slot it into the console. Play the game. Within 90 minutes, write a story and read the story at the end. There may be some criticism of that story at the end, and of course along the way as it's being written. I should call out we have some columns and rows. We got 6 columns and 8 rows from 1 to 6. I just rolled a 6-sided dice and it rolled a 4. So we're going to start with column 4 here. Then from bottom to top, 1 to 8, I have an 8-sided dice. Let's roll that dice, and it is a 1. So column 4, game 1, very bottom, game right. Wow. And it's a game I played. Game I think owned. Yes. I believe it was Atari 2600 version of this game that I owned. Called Dig Dug. For today's video game flash fiction Dig Dug, that uses the joystick controller for its mechanism of moving the protagonist through the conflict of this story. The story called Dig Dug. The story... well, we'll see what the story has to offer for us. I remember this game. It's going to be hard to sort of... Like, I don't know the story, though, I'll be honest. Not like I ever read the instructions for this thing. I may have, but I don't, at this point, as I sit here, remember any reason why Dig Dug is digging. Let's go. All right, sound should be coming through. Maybe. I'm going to turn down just a bit. So I dig a tunnel, and I think I can like inflate these people like a pump. But I'm supposed to also, and that's done. That's just done. I passed the level, but I can like tunnel under these rocks and drop rocks on their heads too. So I can time this rock drop. Maybe. Oh no, I missed it. Like still, like shoot out this hose and inflate this creature. And boom, you win. I mean, I feel like this was more difficult. All right, I got one dude left that's just peaceful in these tunnels, and then I'm making tunnels to go. Oh, one got away. That's not cool. I see what that can happen there. Like you want to do something like this. Come on. And you do this, and it's boom. You can smash them. I guess they're running away too. At least I felt like that's what happened when the ones turned into eyes previously. All right, so this is probably going to try to get away now. So the last one looks like it tries to leave. But then I'm not just going to inject this tube into it. I'm lost. I don't know how to write a I can play this. Oh wait, now they can breathe fire. That's a problem. Oops, my first life. So at advanced levels, these creatures, some of the dragon ones can breathe fire. Whoa, that's going to be able to get me with fire. I wonder if they can breathe it up or only at a certain angle. And then this one's going to start trying to run away. But that ain't cool, dude. I'm getting you. Nope, last one runs away. Okay, so there's the story. I don't get it. Why you like digging around? That's crazy. It's crazy. You're like, these things can like turn into ghosts almost. And You can then inflate them and blow them up. It's a cool mechanic, but what's this story about? You're in this. You kind of look like a Smurf. If I didn't know if I wasn't going to include intellectual property, I'd get a licensing with the Smurf and do a crossover, especially with the Atari 2600 version I'm looking at right now, because this thing looks like a Smurf with a helmet. It could be like race car Smurf. Call him Speedy Smurf. Come on, crush, crush, crush. But in this case, I got to inflate. And this one could breathe fire on me. Uh-oh. Get back here, kid. Yeah, see, you got to exit through this side. I know that. Taking him out. I can do this forever. I'm at, like... What's the point, though? It's like an exterminator? Like, this is cruel. Like, what are these creatures doing to Dig Dug or this Smurf? Just like hanging out. Hey, we just want to live in the earth and sustain ourselves without oxygen somehow. And maybe they eat worms. Maybe they're killing all the worms. Maybe that's why. We can make them the enemy for doing something wrong. And therefore, Dig Dug has allowance to inflate them and explode them up. This one's escaping. I ain't letting that happen. All right, I really should start writing words. But I'm just dominating. Like I only got one life left. Let's just. I feel like well, whatever. I got an ego. I died. I got one more life left. I gotta sneeze. Hold on. There we go. Well, I'll blame that on the sneeze. Dig Dug. Let's try to write a story on Dig Dug. I'm gonna give it my all. I feel like worms. If they're gonna make, maybe they could be like, maybe I could play the role of a, like, I don't even know what, like, I know the one thing looks like a dragon, kind of, and it breathes fire, so it looks like that is, but I don't know what those other shapes are, those other creatures. And apparently carrots and stuff appear, just like mini video games is like extra way to get points. I don't know. It makes sense, though, carrots would appear, I suppose, in one more sense than dragons inside the ground. At least carrots sprout. They grow in the ground. So let's call this thing Dig Dug. And I think in this case, I think Dig Dug is going to be like the big bad, which in gaming terms is the enemy, the protagonist that is the point of the whole story is to take down. In this case, I think it's going to be Dig Dug. You're playing the enemy. You're playing the big bad. And I'm going to have the perspective of one of the dragons. Because it's still like, and then they can they can go ephemeral. Like, they can turn into ghosts. Yeah, I'm going to have to make up a lot of stuff here. Just because we like worms and to live in the ground. Maybe I'll do it from a first-person perspective. Neither have I been a Dig Dug. I've dug ditches before. Specifically when you're finalizing the laying down of a pipe and you don't want the backhoe coming and crushing the pipe. I've dug. And there's nothing to dig. It sucks. But I didn't have one of these hoses, so it's a fictionalized thing. This hose that like shoots out there, an exterminator. And I'll because the dragon's the only shape that I could only even seem to tell what it is. I'm going to have that be a fire-breathing lizard. And that's probably the perspective I'll go from. With these other creatures, I don't even know. I can't even. I'm trying like raccoons, foxes, Space Invader, alien shapes, because that's what they remind me of when I first start thinking of them. That I should see them in a row, shifting side to side. One looks like a dragon, the other one looks like Kirby. I never played that game. I know saying that out loud will demote me in some minds, and I get it. It should. But it kind of reminds me of that Kirby character, but with just longer legs, or at least what I remember of that Kirby character. Never played those. Yeah, I was kind of... Maybe I was in Sega Genesis land. I feel I didn't have access to it, and I don't really want to talk about it because I got to figure out Dig Dug the Murderer. The day Dig Dug came, coming. Like how am I even gonna... So I can get Dig Dug, so I got to think of a voice. Yeah, how does a dragon talk that lives in a tunnel? Not with dialogue, maybe. Telepathic. Yeah, I mean, if you can, at will, make your body into a ghost and some floating eyes to go to an open space, so you can somehow move through walls, why wouldn't you communicate mental telepathy? So let's do my mental telepathy marks. Dig Dug here. Shouts from the minds of the underground community. Hiding from society and their fright. Maybe they're like, they're just people. But they're ghosts. Sasquatch. They're going to be Sasquatch. That's exactly what they're going to be. The legendary long legs of a Sasquatch. Who knows what they really look like? Well, they're living in the caves and some tunnels. Next with the dragons, hiding from society. The Sasquatch and the dragon. And they both are dimensional creatures. That's why there's never left a trace of either of them. It's not that they don't exist. It's just they exist everywhere, and sometimes they'll phase out of one existence to go into another existence. They're dimensional beings. That's why you only get glimpses of them, and they leave no trace. For that matter, these dimensional beings. Their friend... I gotta think of Zoop, the Sasquatch. Squatting in the prime material plane. I'm gonna pull out some old references of TSR inspired Dungeons and Dragons, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons references that of course went into 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition, published by Paizo and, well, just about anybody these days. The prime material plane. It's very much prime material. How do you spell material? Maybe that's how you spell material. A Sasquatch squatting in the prime material plane. On the planet, in the planet Earth, in a cave in the planet Earth. Dig Dug. The murderer. From the perspective of the dragon and the Sasquatch, yeah, absolutely. Man, they're just hanging out. They don't need no Dig Dug. And that's what is a dimensional spacesuit. That's what that is. The dimensional, and they're not digging through Earth. They're digging through time. Oh God, now I'm starting to sound stupid. Too late. Dig Dug the murderer. Not Dig Dug the protector. All right, so there's, yeah. This is, let's go with it. This is fun. I really truly enjoy this game. I played the arcade version. The arcade version, of course, the graphics are better, and it's equally as fun. I could play this more if I had time, but I got to write a story about Dig Dug, and I played this a lot. When it was released around the time, so I've been there. Let's go there with Dig Dug this way. This is not a Dig Dug story that I'd ever conceived of, and to be honest, I don't know if this really took my imagination away when I was younger to think of creating the stories. I think I remember Barnstormer once did, and I've already written a story about Barnstormer. In fact, you can get it in this book right here, Video Game Flash Fiction. I'm going to recover it with life. On sale now. Digital version too. But in that, Barnstormer exists. And I played Dig Dug around that time too. I think this is going to be the Warmonger. Let's go the other side. Thought I never really considered when I was younger. And then lived life. And no one's pure. Dig Dug's got problems too. I mean, he's got a job to do. They've got a job to do. I said he has a job to do because I default gender to what I reference myself as, which is a him, a he. Sometimes a they and an it, but those are on my off days when I'm feeling more like a digital process and less like a thing with flesh. That is not the day today, and this is Dig Dug. Dig Dug the murderer. And you're the dragon. Maybe I do this first person. Let's try to flex that muscle and try to write a narrative like I would if I was a dragon in living with Sasquatch in some caves. And Dig Dug's just a tyrant, man. And knows the only way, and you're not getting blown up, I think. But there's definitely going to be a hose, and it's like a dimensional, maybe be a nano hose, and it decomposes your existence. And you die in all dimensions. Whoa. That's not, maybe you're just captured. I think they're forcing them out of the prime material plane. You're not killing them, but you're banishing them from the prime material plane. So make it sort of like as if these were ghosts and they were haunting, and you wanted to go get a priest or some sort of spiritual type to rid you of these spirits or these ghosts. In this case, it's more of like a real thing. Someone who goes through the different planes of existence. I don't think I'm going to call them dimensions. I'm going to go planes of existence. And use that like old TSR Dungeons and Dragons classification that I learned and is still used today. bought and purchased, of course, fairly, and rightfully so. It's a good way, but I think it's just general knowledge, and that's what everyone calls it these days. I know dimensions are making a comeback, but I'm gonna go with plane of existence. Squatting in the prime material plane in a cave on the planet Earth. Doug the murderer. Not Doug the savior, like the humans believe. Dig Doug? I mean, I guess is Dig the first name? And is this sort of like societal name structure? Is he of the Doug family? And his first name is Dig? And would I want to call him out Dig Doug the murderer, not Dig Doug the savior? Because you're a dragon in this, and you're getting bad. Maybe it's not murderer. Oh, let's not do a murderer. Because they're not going to be killing. I think I want to get away from that. I think this has got to be a little bit more creative than this, than like horror explosion. The graphics aren't there for it either. I'd probably have to ramp it up if I were playing any sort of most common games, because they actually have graphics these days. So when someone explodes, it's what it would be like, even if it was a cartoon. It's just more gooey. In this case, we're just gonna make it banished. What do we want to call it? Dig Dug the tyrant. Not Dig Dug the savior. Dig Dug is a tyrant. Banishing dragons and Sasquatch. I have Sasquatch. That's how I'm spelling it right now. Banishing dragons and Sasquatch from the prime material plane. They know nothing about Earth. They just happen to be on Earth right now. The Sasquatch run away. Maybe that's why they still exist. Like, I think that's sort of where I am processing the story to be. Imagining it. I don't need to put in such a cold word like process, but, well, that's what it becomes. So Dig Dug the tyrant, not Dig Dug the savior. Dig Dug is a tyrant banishing dragons and Sasquatch from the prime material plane. Why do they need to go to the prime material plane? I mean, that's the question. I mean, if it's such a maybe oh, wait a second. Throw a little bit in their safest. If we can't live in the banish us with its nanotube. Removing. So I'm going to make a magical type, like still kind of in that realm of science magic. Which, a lot of a lot of movies now do science magic, but they try to wrap it in a strong shell of fiction, of nonfiction, I guess. I don't know where to go with that, what my thought was. I'm just going to continue on. I'm going to continue to use the word banish, even though I want to start to break this down as a process. I don't, how would I not let something come into a plane like a dimension? Like, I know how I could banish someone from a dimension. This is how I would do it. This is the thought I just came up with, and I've been, I follow science fiction, nonfiction, maybe with dimensions, you would just make and have an ability to make at the atomic level, nothing observe the state of that thing. And if it doesn't get observed, it doesn't exist. Science. I'll probably do something with that, but right now I'm more working with this idea of different planes of existence. I think it's the ethereal plane. They're going into the ethereal permanent. Oh yes, that's what I'll use. I'll use the ethereal, ethereal. How do one say that? Ethereal, ethereal, mist, ethereal. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to try to look up ethereal mist. I should look this up in a book, but I don't want to have to go through all my books that are stacked right over there. So let's just read this aloud from the search and return engine. Ethereal. I think they're going to get... Yes. The border of the ethereal mirrors the primary material plane, but is shrouded in gray fog. Yes. Banishing us with its observance blast. Pushing us into the ethereal plane. So they're multi-planar beings, different planes of existence. That's probably, if I were to use dimensions, so this is the deciding point right now, if I go dimensions, because that's the pop culture science way to do this. And because dimensions are huge, they're always going to be. It's a fun thing to talk about. And it would probably hit more readers and have a better understanding than if I use planes. Planes is very much, you gotta be in like Dungeons and Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons, hero system, wanting to play fantasy worlds and cast spells to really, truly probably be able to understand prime material plane and the ethereal plane. Now that said, Dungeons and Dragons is pretty damn popular. And probably still one likely to have picked this book up will know what Dungeons and Dragons is, what Pathfinder is. Well, those are the two systems I mainly play. Hero system, but that's not genre specific. So let's go with Just go with the planes. I know, let's make it harder. Dimensions I could probably fictionalize easier. Planes of existence, though. In a planet cave Earth, hiding from living free from the slavery and gray mist, the hopelessness, free from the hopelessness of the ethereal plane. Okay. That's a long sentence. I do have this habit of writing a paragraph sentence to be able to hit all the plot points and set the tension and conflict. For this, Dig Dug here shouts from the minds of the underground, shouts from the mind of, we'll put a person's name to this. They are going to be a Sasquatch. What time do I have? I got 59 minutes left. I think I can get this story. I do appreciate their little screensaver that they have here for this game. We'll see if it goes to blue, but I'll play this in a moment, during some moment that's not right now, because I got to figure out this Sasquatch's name. I don't want to get how Sasquatch. Well, I mean, if we're in the primaterial planes and the ethereal plane, ethereal, is that right? Ethereal, ethereal. Ethereal. Okay. In a cave in the planet Earth, living free from the hopelessness and gray mist of the ethereal plane. We got to give this Sasquatch a name. The Sasquatch will be... man, it's like they kind of live between dimensions. Just want to be left alone. They can go through the ethereal plane, but it's depressing. And that's why they don't want to go back there. Be able to live, sure, but it's all gray and misty. Shouts from the mines underground, hiding from society and their friendly Zoop. Is that their name? It's going to be Zoop. Zoop shouts to the minds of the underground community of dragons and Sasquatch. Yeah. Things of lore. Dragons and Sasquatch hiding from society and their hiding from society. Hiding in the primaterial plane. I can set this up better. Hiding in the primaterial plane. In a cave. In a cave in Earth. In the planet Earth. This is where I throw down the comma. Living free from the hopelessness and gray mist of the ethereal plane. Dig Dug's a tyrant. Dig Dug the tyrant, not Dig Dug the savior. Dig Dug the... I'm not even a genderized Dig Dug. Because I'm not going to apply Doug meaning like the name Doug. What is it? D-O-U-G-H? I don't know how to spell Doug. It's not my name. D-O-U-G? D-O-U-G-E? Doug is like... And Dig, you know, they're in a spacesuit too. I think they just want to be like, a Dig Dug is here. And not like the Dig Dug. And that's because it just sounds better with like I dig and I've dugged. Like the present and the past tense, I can appreciate that. A Dig Dug is here. Dig Dug tyrant, not a Dig Dug savior. Yeah, now it's a thing. A Dig Dug banishing dragons. I want to capitalize prime material plane because it's really just so meaningful. I want to give it even more meaning and respect with some cases, some capital letters. Call it out. It is a labeled thing like Earth, the prime material plane. Banish us to the depressing ethereal plane. To the sorrow and tasteless ethereal plane. They could be blasting us. Maybe they do. Maybe a little violence. They do kind of expand and explode, but I don't want to go there. I don't. It's been done by me more than once. Let's try. I want to think of some. I mean, they do kind of explode. Let's play the game real quick. Let's see. I'm not going to try to beat my score. All right, so I'm going to turn this up just a bit. I want to get. All right, that might come through. That may not. Now, I mean, they definitely be a bigger, like, and I would call that, I dare call that a inflation. Maybe they're just becoming one again with something. Maybe. Now see, I'm getting pulled in with the game. I got 52 minutes left. It's critical. Oh, the one tries to get away. Right. Yep. And you always have to. Too bad. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is the one that lived, because one always tries to get away. I'll let the sounds play out. Oh, that's cool. I never really noticed that until right now. And that would be the like the movement makes the sound. You'd have to craft a great sound, and I think it's great. That's cool. That's one of the coolest things. Yeah, that's really neat. Wow. I guess when they're inflated, you could walk through them. So you're just like turning them into ghosts. And then it like speeds up. And if I don't move, it doesn't make the music. That's cool. Today I learned. All right, let's get those. Let's finish the story of Dig Dug. This is a Dig Dug. So Dig Dug the tyrant, not a Dig Dug the savior like the humans call them. Dig Dug banishing dragons and Sasquatch from the prime material plane. Banish us to sorrow and tasteless, to the tasteless. To the sorrow and tastelessness of the I got lost in looking at the carrot and dig dug. Just the carrot thing is always a weird. Anytime you put some sort of video gaming thing, it just reminds me of Pac-Man, I suppose, and everything else is a derivative of having some fruit appear. I'm sure Pac-Man wasn't the first to do it, but it's the one I remembered first. But anyway, let's focus on this story because they're going back to the tastelessness of the ethereal plane. Ethereal. Ethereal? Ethereal? Ethereal. 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 Ethereal? I gotta spell it right so I can say it reasonably near what I think it's supposed to be said. So banish us to the sorrow of the tastelessness of the ethereal plane. A plane. A gray plane. Like your world. A gray plane of shades shaping a world like your own. Gray. All day and night. Tasteless. Monotone. What's sight, sound, taste, monotone, numb, scentless. All right, so for the people who don't know what it is, I need to at least describe to them what an ethereal plane. I think that's what I want. That's what it's going to be at least. So that's the second sentence, the second paragraph. At least I broke that up into more than one long sentence like I have the first one here. A dig dug is here. Zoop shouts to the minds of the underground community. Let's put the and point at this thing. The minds of underground community. Of dragons and Sasquatch hiding in the prime material plane in a cave in the earth, in the planet Earth, living free from the hopelessness and gray mists of the ethereal plane. Were they banished there long ago? Do I need to get into that? Let's just put that as that's just reality. That's where they're going to be sent. Dig dug the tyrant. What the humans call him. A dig dug banishing dragon, the Sasquatch from the prime material plane. Banish us to sorrow and tastelessness of the ethereal plane. A gray plane of shade shaping a world like your own, like your world, but gray. And all day and night, tasteless, monotone, numb, senseless, the ethereal plane. A dig dug shooting there. Now this is where I gotta get this is like let's do it. Let's go. Let's make some music. I gotta get the sense of like, I mean, it's just like a hose. I mean, that's the, mechanic behind it. It's just, I mean, I could like, if I had time, honestly, if I had time, I would spend a month in trying to perfect using Dig Dug to use some sort of like musical performance. I think it entirely is possible. It's not like you couldn't study these patterns and maybe like have that crescendo at the ends somehow play out a little bit longer. I don't know how that would work. All right, I'm gonna let it play out. So a Dig Dug shooting their all right, I got 43 minutes still, and if I can get what this thing is, like it's a it very much reminds me of course, like I've said it again, a hose and a pump. A Dig Dug shooting their plane hose, their power hose. What's a good like scientific name? Plasma hose. Like I don't like nano hose. Maybe they get phaser, the phase wave. It's not a hose. It's not a hose. It's not a hose. It's just their phase wave. And they're phasing them out from the plane. And they sort of expand their connection. It's more of a, I don't know. It's the concept of dimension maybe, but we're going to go with plane. So they're shooting their plasma ray, the plasma wave. I don't know why plasma. I don't know what reference. I feel like that's plasma wave. Like I'm gonna look that up through a search and return engine. Plasma wave. And what does it tell me people have associated a plasma wave with? In the context of plasma physics, a plasma wave is a wave that propagates through a plasma, a state of matter composed of charged particles characterized by collective oscillations in those particles. These waves can be longitude like sound waves or traverse like Ephesian Elven waves, and are influenced by a magnetic field and magnetic plasmas. What is plasma? A plasma is a state of matter where the gas is ionized, meaning it's composed of ions, positive particles and electrons, negative particles, along with neutral atoms and molecules. Plasma waves versus other waves. Unlike sound waves and air waves, plasma waves are influenced by the collective behavior of the charged particles in the magnetic field, if present. Yes, this is it. It is definitely plasma wave. The types of plasma wave: a Lagrange wave, plasma oscillations. These are rapid oscillations of electronic density and are a type of longitudinal wave. Ion acoustic wave. These are longitudinal waves. That means something to me because I understand longitude, but I'm not going to say I fully grasp what I'm reading. These are longitudinal waves where the ions oscillate. That's great. The Alvean waves are the transverse waves that propagate along magnetic field lines. I like that one because it traverse waves. These are transverse waves that propagate along magnetic field lines. Magnetic sonic waves. These are longitudinal waves that can occur perpendicular to the magnetic fields. Oh, okay. So that's going to be helpful. I can now fictionalize maybe a little bit better. Because I can use this, this is nonfiction. This is studied, peer-reviewed, hypothesized, labeled, trying to classify. So it's legit classification. Because at least a collective thought that helps further science and the creation of things we do has agreed. This is going to be, though, shooting their... I don't know. I'm going to pick one of these and be wrong, but I'm going to pick one and see if I can make the fiction go within it. Metasonic wave guns. A dig dug shooting their metasonic wave guns. Demagnetizing our existence, our connection. To the plane, to the prime material plane. A dig dug shooting our connection to the prime material plane. Poof. Poof. Like an expanding ghost. Looking for negative or positive to connect. Until it becomes neutral. Yeah. Neutral like the gray. True neutral. I'm going to have that repeated more like a voice. And then right back to the ethereal plane to sort of build that idea of why you wouldn't want to go back there. Okay, so there's a conflict, the event, what a dig dug is, where you can go, a little bit more about the dig dug. Understanding there's Sasquatch, dragons too. I haven't introduced the dragon. My breath flame. Dig dug suits do burn. This is the one that got away from dig dug. We do have one always gets away. We fight. We fought. The dig dug tunneled through the earth. Yeah, this particular magnetosonic wave gun shooting magnosonic waves of plasma needs space, so that's why you have to dig. Dug through the earth into our caves, homes, banishing Zook. That's the dragon's name. Now, would they go wife, though? I mean, like, dragon's got a name for it. It wouldn't be wife. I'm not going to translate it. I'll translate it into something more popular, like my life, my bond. My love. Lost in the gray. While I run away to warn others of the coming dig dug. Okay, well, sometimes your childhood heroes become the antagonist of a story you write 40 years later, and has nothing to do with the original game. That's fun. But what I need to write more. I can't sit here and pat myself on the back because the story's not done. I got 33 minutes left too, and that's it. I think I have an end. I don't want to get into the gory kind of like I'm going to describe what they do, but I don't want to break down motion. I want to try to stick with the narrator, and the narrator ain't going to go over the details of the fight. We fight. We fought. Let's give it that. Dig dug suits do burn. So I had ready. What would you like? Like, that's always now, I think every fantasy world that's had dragons, every game system that has had dragons in a fantasy world has some fiction likely around how they get the dragon breath. How can they breathe fire, lightning, acid? The acid one from a black dragon in Dungeons and Dragons really is maybe the one that makes more sense. At least, you can imagine this dragon just generating lots of like stomach acid, and that's the thing that spews out. Lightning, that's a little more difficult. Fire. So this dragon, dig suts do burn, and I can breathe fire. Fire. And I can breathe fire, but it hurts. So I can't do it often. So now we at least have a limitation. Dig Dugs think they're doing right. I think that's something. Maybe. The Dig Dugs think they're doing right and don't now know about and people don't know about What's going on? People don't leave. Who's killing? Who's doing the do? Hiring dig dogs. Dig dug gets into our tunnels. I got this back. Past tense, present tense. I don't know. Let's just go with it. A dig dug digs in our tunnel. The mental shout spreads. And we all react. Let's go back. Let's pull it back here. A dig dug dugs in our tunnel. The mental spreads. The mental shout spreads. The mental alarm spreads, and we heal each spreads through the ethereal plane. Yeah. I want to add one more sentence about the ethereal plane, tasteless and numb. The ethereal plane. All the time. Like mumbles and talks. And it would be, it's the churches. I'm going to drag, just in this mythical society, like, you don't want to have these myths exist. They're competing. And either are true, but both are also false. Just how much can you convince the other humans of your truth? For this, let's make sure these words are at least easier to read so I can read over other mistakes. Some demagnetizing connection to the prime material plane, poof, like an expanding ghost looking for a negative or a positive to connect till neutral. True neutral. True neutral, like the ethereal plane. I don't know what Nathanderall. What was I trying to write right there? Neutral. I think that's what I want. Dig dugs think they're doing right, and people don't know about what's going on. The people don't believe. People don't believe. People don't believe dragons exist or Sasquatch. The churches are after us, hiring the dig dogs. That's it. That's the only. I don't need to go any more detail. A dig dug digs in our tunnel. The mental alarm spreads through the ethereal plane to our presence in the prime material plane. Dig dug here. Dig dug suits do burn and I can breathe fire, but hurts the throat, so I don't do it often. Dig dug right there. And I breathe fire and burn a dig dug who runs away. And another appears. In a far off tunnel. A small, where my bonded partner is helping nest 2 baby dragons. The dig dug tunneled through the earth into our caves and homes, banishing Zug and... Okay, so that's... We take an oath before joining a community. For the last living to run, to leave, and warn others of the dig dogs. And I'm going to leave it at that. That will be the end. We take an oath before joining a community. Community connected to the ethereal plane. Ethereal plane. There we are. That's at least a story of something. I got 22 minutes left. I don't think I'm going to need it. Maybe I should. I mean, depends on quantity and quality here, but if I at least cover what I think I want. The dig dug digs in our tunnel. The mental alarm spreads to the ethereal plane. Okay, so it kind of connects there. We have a little bit of the fight. I don't need to get into the details too much. We fought. Phasing, not banishing. I'm going to do phasing. Phasing Zug and... I burned another dig dugs, but dig dugs tunneled. They phased us. that's it. We got the dragon. I'm going to just go for it and say this is the story. Do I want to play and read it aloud at the same time? I don't think I'm that good. But I just need to press the button here. My God, that's a lot. So this is where... Oh, see, then I'd have to be able to find like the way to tunnel to make the song. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. That'd be very difficult to do. I don't think I have that much life to try to do something like that. I still get... That's such a cool effect. Oh, and I died. And those are the sounds. Let's go ahead and read this thing aloud. For today's video game Flash Fiction, this is a story called Dig Dug. Dig Dug. A dig dug here. Zoop shouts to the minds of the underground community of dragons and Sasquatch hiding in the prime material plane in a cave in the planet Earth, living free from the hopelessness of the gray mists of the eternal ethereal plane. A dig dug, the tyrant, not a dig dug, the savior like the humans call them. A dig dug, banishing dragons and Sasquatch from the prime material plane. Banish us to sorrow and tastelessness of the ethereal plane, a gray plane of shade shaping a world like your world, but gray, and all day and night tasteless, monotone, numb, senseless, and our thoughts are heard by all the time like mumbles and talks of the ethereal plane. A dig-dug shooting their electromagnetic netosonic wave guns, demagnetizing our connection to the prime material plane, poof, like an expanding ghost looking for a negative or positive to connect until neutral, true neutral like the ethereal plane. Dig-dugs think they're doing it right, and people don't know what's going on. People don't believe dragons exist or Sasquatch. The churches are after us, hiring the dig-dugs. The dig-dug digs in our tunnels. The mental alarm spreads to the ethereal plane to our present in the prime material plane. A dig-dug here. A dig-dug suits do burn, and I can breathe fire, but it hurts the throat, so I don't do it often. Dig-dug right there, and I breathe fire, and I burn a dig-dug who runs away. And another appears in the far tunnel where my bonded partner is helping nest two baby dragons. We fought. The dig-dug tunneled through the earth into our caves and homes, phasing Zug and Stiliria, my bonded, my love, lost in the gray. I burned another dig-dug, but dig-dugs tunneled. They phased us. We take an oath before joining a community connected to the ethereal plane for the last living to leave and alert the other of the dig-dugs in the prime material plane. Be alert for dig-dugs. That's fun. What a great game. And remember, if you do write or create, try to save your transcripts and your data. For now, however, it's time to turn this game off. Let's all try to avoid, I suppose, maybe becoming part of the ethereal plane.